Let's fire it up on the bonfire. Welcome inside Game Day Winnipeg. Darrin bombing the legendary Chris Walby to my virtual right. Marquee matchup, battle for first place in the West. CFL Week 6 might be more exciting than Week 5, Chris Walby. We got two unbeaten teams once again going toe-to-toe, this time right back here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a great week for another reason. Obviously, the fact that we're treating Atlantic Canada to a football game on Saturday. Right. Really trying to, again, gauge the interest out there if there's an opportunity to get that 10th franchise. So that's going to be great for them. We've gone through a lot of stuff this week, man, with the Marino Garino or whatever his name. I'm not even going to say his name correct.
Yeah, whatever, right?
I'm very unhappy with him right now. And then again, we come back to this, which is, we had the unbeatens last week. And what did I say to you last week? I said, sometimes the hype, it's like going to a movie, right?
Yeah. And
then you expect this movie to be just fantastic, knock your socks off, and it's just a dud. Well, it was a dud for the right reason. I mean, the Bombers just dominated every, special teams, defense, offense. Zach looked like, and I put on Twitter like a 20-year-old kid running around there, escaping pressure, making throws, sidearm, up in the air. I mean, I was blown away. Now, do I think this one has a little bit more hype? Yes, because the quarterbacks are different. Bo Levi Mitchell is, I think, a two-time outstanding player. You're going against last year's reigning most outstanding player in Zach Collaros. I looked at it. I said, right now, what the Bombers the Stamps have won 6 road games in a row, and they have some incredible records. They're 19-2 after the bye week. It seems like the Bombers, and I know I'm going on a whole big epic story here, but the Bombers had that short week against BC, and that's when you expected Bombers to maybe have a tough, little, not much gas in the tank, and they came out fully ready. Now they play another team that's had a bye week, and Calgary's getting a lot of their players back, and Calgary's got some great players.
Yeah.
This is probably the one game. And listen, if the Bombers beat Calgary, I don't know who can beat the Bombers. I mean, who's out there? This is to me, the marquee.
No question. Like Jesse Beach mentioned in the live chat, this is probably the toughest test yet for the Blue Bombers. Or you could even say the toughest test yet for the Calgary Stampeders. They've already had Edmonton twice.
Yeah, that's
they've had a bit of an easier road to 4-0 than the Blue Bombers 5-0, I would say. You can go back. Who did they have? They've already had a bye. So they've had that rest in there already. They went Edmonton, by Edmonton, and now they got to come to Winnipeg. They went into Hamilton and beat them 33-30 in a huge comeback. Another one that the Ticats kind of blundered and bumbled.
At the end,
and then in week 1, it was another 3-point win for the Stampeders at home against the Montreal Alouettes. So, you could say the Blue Bombers haven't been tested by the best yet. You could probably say even more so to the Calgary Stampeders. It's going to be a heck of a game on Friday night. Be sure to join us for post-game coverage right here on Bonfire Sports. 30-45 minutes after the game, we'll get things going live, and it is the return of Zach Schnitzer. But of course, this guy is Chris Walby, the legendary. Congratulations, Chris.
And DB,
you were
DB, I just don't want to lose this.
Yeah.
There's my offensive guard, my old boy right there, Nick Pastaya. Played many years in the CFL, mostly with Winnipeg, started in Toronto, had the biggest guns. There's a guy who had guns. I remember walking into the locker room. That guy had arms, man. They just went for miles and miles. Great football player, great guy. Him and Stan got into it. I had a pool party once, and him and Stan got into it. It was pretty funny.
Got into it like they were ready to drop him or what?
No, they were fighting wrestling to go in the pool, and they both had clothes on. It was just stupid, man. But anyway, great to see Nick on following us right now. And
and great note there by Nick Mastaya, who says the game means more to Calgary than Winnipeg. Winnipeg can lose this game. It won't affect them at all. Calgary loses this game and their confidence is all gone. I think there's a lot of validity to that perspective. The Blue Bombers know who they are, right? They had a coming out party for the offense last week in BC. The defense has been awesome, other than a couple deep shots that, whether it's the Red Blacks, the Ticats, or the Lions have been able to get on them. That deep ball, I think, is one area of concern a little bit, but they are they're by far, in my opinion, the Blue Bombers are the best team in the CFL. It's Calgary's game to try to win, and it's Winnipeg's to lose on Friday night.
Well, I like both quarterbacks at Calgary. I've always been a big Bo Levi, Mitchell fan, but now he's had injuries the past couple of years, has not played up to Bo Levi's standards.
But
they got a great guy backup as Jake Mayer, but this year he's come on now, and he's really playing well at that level that I expect, right? They've got a great running game in Kadeem Carey, and that new kid who just, man, he ran off the charts. He had that missed field goal return, Logan Payton, man, or Peyton Logan. It's just, this is a team that has a lot of talent, but I disagree with the Ryan, aka fake Nick Mistaya. You know what? It's interesting because I think if Bombers lose, you say it won't affect them. I think it will. I think it does a little bit to their psyche that, you know what, they can get beaten. That's just the way I feel. I mean, I really think that Winnipeg, I mean, what are they, 21-2 at home? I mean, they haven't lost, I think, and then Zach is 12-0 as a starter at home. There's so many stats, and I hate stats, but there's so many stats that favor the Bombers. But this is a tough Calgary-ass team. I mean, this is a team that really can play well. And
did you say tough Calgary-ass team? I think that's what a lot of people are saying going into this game. But yeah, tough-ass Calgary team.
Oh, yeah. Well, look at the guys they have. A couple guys there that I love. Jameer Thurman, Cameron Judge, who had a whale of a game last week, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 for a touchdown. And a kid that was player of the week a couple weeks back in Titus Wall, the first-year kid. He's at that Sam or nickel or dime, as you like to call him, dime linebacker. Trey Robertson's back now.
And playing well again. Playing really well again.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, they do give up some yardage, but so does the Bombers. And that's the thing. When you look at us, we give up passing yards, but we never break. Mm-hmm. And it's still amazing. After 5 games, we have not allowed 1 rushing touchdown. I don't know what the record is, but that's got to be a record to me.
Well, if there's a game where it happens, it will be this one, because Peyton Logan is a great player and dangerous in a lot of different facets of the game. For my money, Kadeem Carey's the best running back in the CFL today. And if that name you recognize that name a little bit, it's because he was the starting running back for the Chicago Bears just a few years ago. Andrea, who welcome back, Andrea, in the live chat, watching live on YouTube. Calgary's been playing better. I get that, but they've been beating Edmonton. Like, Edmonton has started a Canadian rookie quarterback, Canadian, American, Polynesian, Australian, it doesn't matter, a rookie quarterback in a game. And, they've had no continuity as far as the roster or the lineup. They're still trying to figure out who they are under Chris Jones. Calgary's got 2 big wins over the Edmonton Elks and a bye week in the middle. Big whoop. Let's see what you can do against a team that's actually winning football games. We're going to see that Friday.
Well, we will. And I'd hate to be, the guy that's the offensive coordinator for the Calgary Stampeders. I'm just going to see who that is. Oh, it's Pat Delmonico. Oh, there you go, buddy.
Yeah, our old pal.
Offensive coordinator. Now he's going to go against an old nemesis in Richie Hall. Yeah, Richie Hall is divided. We talked about this, man. I tell you, one of the times, every once in a while, Walby lucks out, and he just hits one out of the park. And I said, one of the ways they'll take away that quick slant by Nathan Rourke is to drop the defensive end quickly into that throwing zone. And what happened last week? Jackson Jeffcoat drops, interception, bang. That's what I said, man. Crystal ball, baby. But I mean, you got to think about Delmonico, the offensive coordinator for Calgary, and the variety of different looks the Bomber defense give him. Richie Hall, in my mind, has done an absolutely wonderful job. And I know we've beaten this to death, Darrin and DB, and the fact that we said, years ago they wanted to ride him out of town. And right now he's a top defense coordinator in the CFL. He could probably be I don't think he wants that head coach garbage. He's comfortable where he is now. You're
saying Pat Delmonico?
No, Pat Delmonico is going to have his work cut out going against Richie Hall.
Richie, yes, of course.
I'll say right now, Richie Hall is the best D coordinator in the CFL.
No question.
His looks, the variety of looks, the way he attacks offenses from different aspects, whether it's a middle linebacker blitz like Big Hill or Rutledge, or they bring a Nick Taylor or whatever. But
you know what? I'll check
everywhere.
I'll check you on that, Chris. I think Jason Shivers in Saskatchewan does more with less. The Blue Bombers are talent laden. Saskatchewan has some holes, and what Jason Shivers has done since taking over from Chris Jones when Jones moved on, where he got his dream job at a high school or whatever that was, when he left Saskatchewan. Shivers has done a great job. I know Bomber fans don't like hearing too much credit to the
No
Saskatchewan
more
Roughriders.
Christmas cards for you, buddy.
No kidding. But, you can't put anything past defensive coordinator of the Calgary Stampeders, Brett Monson, another team with, just rock solid scheming, great game planning. And you mentioned Cam Judge, Jameer Thurman, Titus Wall. Should mention Jonathan Moxie did not practice all week. And then on the final day of practice, he was limited. So he is a game time decision for Friday night. He's their boundary corner, or pardon me, their field corner. If he can't go, they're going to have to move things around with Titus Wall and some other players there. So something to watch going into that game.
They got Buka coming.
Oh, Eli Buka. Right.
Eli Buka's back, and they're really happy
it's Wilson. Yeah, they're going to move the safety Raheem Wilson, the corner.
So, they can do that. But, they've just got talent. And then look at the front guy. Sean Lemon once again. This guy's bounced around, more than the rubber ball. And, he's got 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He's always around the football. This is going to be a good test for the Bomber O-line.
Chris,
get after you.
When you played, did teams do what they do today? Did they dress like 8 defensive linemen and rotate them continually? Because that's what allows veterans like Sean Lemon to be effective. Yeah. Give him 30, 40 snaps a game, maybe no more than that, maybe even less. And you get him at full power and high motor.
No, you know what? That's a great point, DV, because most of the time when I was playing, it would always be, would it be a James Parker, whether it be, whoever the defensive end was, that was the guy basically I had every game. They would swap sides, short field, wide side. That's the only, you see 2 guys. I would see Grover on the wide side, and I'd see somebody else on the short side. I'd see Bobby Jurison, whatever, right? So, but you always got to play those 2. Once in a while, they interchange, and they do a slide technique where it's called it's a wide out, where they put the tackle over the tackle, and the end's way out, and they try and get a mismatch with the back. And that's the time when the guards and tackle slide. I don't see much of that anymore, so I'll be interested to watch that.
Yeah, the battle that has always been between the Blue Bombers and the Stampeders, like you can talk all day and all night about the rivalry between the Rough Riders and the Blue Bombers. I see that more as a rivalry between the fan bases. If you look at the way these games have been played, the rivalry between the Stamps and the Bombers is as heated as any in recent memory in the CFL. It all goes back to those famous comments from Calgary head coach Dave Dickinson, caught on the parabolic microphone on the TSN broadcast. The Canadian Mafia, Wade Miller, Kyle Walters, Mike O'Shea, the triumvirate of brass the Blue Bombers have against the Americans, and Dave Dickinson and John Huffnagel. And it was Ryan Dinwiddie for a long period of time before, he parted for the Toronto Argonauts head coaching job. So I asked Mike O'Shea yesterday, and he didn't, speak too much about it, but he did speak at length, which tells me there's validity to it. I asked him about the physicality when you face the Calgary Stampeders. O'Shea is never going to say one team, it's more important to focus on physicality than the other. But believe me when I say they know they're going to come and try to smack each other in the mouth. These 2 teams do not like each other from top to bottom. They know they're going to be in the hunt. They know they're going to be facing each other in the playoffs in one form or another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the interesting thing. I think they've lost the last 2 or 3 at IG Field. So they want to correct that. I remember the first time I watched Jake Mayer was playing. It was his first start was against the Bombers here. And
he went 5 straight games, 300 yards, right?
Yeah, and I think Winnipeg won that game. I think it was 13-12 or something. It was really a close match. So it's going to be this is a game where I don't see a blowout. This is 2 good offenses. I think the Bombers still have an edge on defense. I really do. Just the talent they have and the guys that keep plugging in there. When I think about Donald Rutledge, who's to me has really every week improving and playing better and better. And then you got Malik Clements, who just fits in like a nice pair of shoes right on that weak side linebacker. The changes they have there, and they're all making contributions. The thing they did with Willie Jefferson, though, that was interesting to me last week. They moved him around so many times, and they put him over the guards. A couple pass knockdowns was always around. When your opposing coach And that was Rick Campbell, the BC Lions head coach, talked about him. He said, Willie Jefferson, quote unquote, is a beast. He's always around the ball. He knocked out a bunch of passes. He rushed Nathan Rourke. Rourke didn't have time to. I mean, listen, Nathan threw a couple of nice, beautiful deep balls.
Yeah.
But
no
for
question.
the most part, the Bombers were all in his grill. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they did a great job scheming against Nathan Rourke, right? Just making him uncomfortable.
And that's why I say Richie Hall, great job.
Yeah, a 24-year-old quarterback is a 24-year-old quarterback. However, you serve it up. So the Blue Bombers, yeah, like I give Richie Hall a ton of credit because everybody's talking about the offense and Buck Pierce and the vanilla comments and all of that. I think the criticisms, or at least the perspective that the Blue Bombers offense was vanilla or tepid or uninspired, those are the words I all used tweeting during that previous game in Toronto, because they were all over the Blue Bombers. It's like they had them, it's like they had a page of their playbook and they were just reading everything great. But then in BC, give credit to Buck Pierce for dialing up a game plan against, for my money, the best defensive backfield in the CFL with TJ Lee and Delvin Breaux and Gary Peters and Marcus Sales and the rest. Luches Purifoy, I'll take those guys any day. I've said it over and over again.
You did over that, but I'll tell you right now, you know that.
But I'm just saying, give credit to Richie Hall and the defensive scheme that they dialed up. They need to do it again on Friday because Bo Levi and the Stampeders and a run game and a pass game that probably is a little bit better than BC's. This challenge is going to be not just different, but maybe even a steeper hill to climb.
Every game comes down to this, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it comes down to the trenches.
Yep.
And you're talking about, BC's secondary, and they're good. But if the offensive line, which I thought our offensive line play as well as I've seen them play, especially when you got, newcomers in there with Jeff Gray and Kolinkowski playing at center, they gave a lot of time. I mean, yes, Zach Mason play on his own, utilizing his feet, getting out of the pocket. But if you make those cover guys cover forever, I don't care how good you are, they're going to find somebody open. And that one guy, Dalton Schoen, he's probably a front runner or one of the front runners for Rookie of the Year right now.
No question. Yeah.
Boy, does that kid find openings. He knows how to read. I think he's getting tutelage from the great Greg Ellingson, but he just knows what he's doing. And boy, it almost seems like, how quarterbacks have their favorite guy to go now. And I believe Dalton Schoen is leading the league in second down conversions. I'm not sure, but he's
got a whack mode. Yeah.
He's up there big time, man. I mean, he's 21 catches, 3 touchdowns, 3 over 30. He's got speed. It's really interesting. I know the guys just say, what about Kenny Lawler? What about, all these other guys, Darvin Adams? Well, they've really done a great job of replacing those two guys.
Absolutely, they did. Speaking of replacing guys, I'm just pulling up here. Pardon me, I'm back. Hey, just pulling up here the Blue Bombers depth chart. This is really something. Here is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers injured list. And Ricky Walker, he'll be a healthy scratch Friday night. But look at the 6th game. All-star Brandon Alexander, one of the top Canadian special teamers in the league, in Jesse Briggs. All-star CFLPA All-star Michael Couture at center. Most outstanding Canadian in the most recent Grey Cup, Nick Dembski, 6th game. Noah Hallett on the 6th game. Mercy Maston, who is a phenomenal DB that we haven't been able to see here in Winnipeg because of back-to-back Achilles injuries in training camp. Brendan O'Leary Orange, an NCAA product, still waiting for his opportunity. Big, skilled, great hands. He most recently placed on the Blue Bombers 6-game injured list. Dakota Prukup, the wedge package guy for Winnipeg, quarterback. He's on the 6-game injured list. Drew Richmond, one of those blue chip offensive line prospects for Winnipeg, on the 6-game injured list. And then one of the most underrated players in the CFL today, in Kyrie Wilson, on the 6-game injured list. They are beat up bad, yet there they were in Vancouver last weekend, Chris, and they flexed on the BC Lions. They woke everybody up in the CFL that was maybe sleeping on them. They told all the odds makers, what are you doing, making a rookie quarterback or a first-year starting quarterback and an unproven BC Lions team the favorites against the back-to-back Grey Cup champs that are 22-2, 22-1 in meaningful games with Zach Collaros under center. Now he's 23-1 in meaningful games. Collaros was lights out. My question is Zach Collaros the front runner for MOP once again?
Oh, he's definitely got a good, foothold on it right now. It's funny. He doesn't have crazy yardage, but he doesn't make mistakes. And I think it's more the magic that he shows about avoiding the pressure. Like I was blown away to some of the stuff. I said, oh, he's going down. He's getting sacked. Boom. He's out in the flat throwing a sidearm pass to Dalton Schoen. Those two passes, the one to Dalton in the end zone for a touchdown.
That was awesome.
Did a great job of sliding to catch up. That's magic. That's magic right there, guys. I mean,
well, think about it. This is a CFL rookie in Dalton Schoen.
Yeah.
Not just a rookie, but a CFL rookie. He's never played Canadian football before. Yeah. And, new chemistry with a quarterback to have that on extending plays. Like, Chris, this.
Oh, yeah.
How difficult it is to extend a play like that and know where your guys are and then find him on the run, pinpoint accuracy. And then, as you mentioned, Schoen sliding to the ground to secure that catch. Like the chemistry between these two is really something. And
and you know what's funny you say it because I think I was going to talk about it, probably got sidetracked as I always do. But I think that it's funny to have a quarterback finds a certain guy and they have that chemistry, and it's like, it's like Gronkowski, when he plays with what's his name, the Mr. 5-time Super Bowl champ, Tom Brady. I mean, they're always looking for that certain guys in special plays, right? Mahomes and Hall. And I look at this and they always go to him. I mean, Dalton Schoen is showing me some stuff that I'm not used to seeing from a rookie, from a first year player, as you say. I tell you what, the Calgary Stampeders, I know they talked about, I listened to Dave Dickinson's press conference all the time because he's always kind of a cheery guy and he tells you stuff. And he said point blank. He's
a good speaker.
He actually said that right now he remembers Zach Collaros when he was in Hamilton before he ripped his knee out that 1 year. He was, in my opinion, I think I might have been doing CBC. I don't know if I was doing something. I may have been TSN with you, but he was a runner in my mind then for outstanding player until he got hurt. He's playing at that level again and even surpassing that. So, yeah, to answer the question, do you think I think so. He's as advertised, and you know what? He's earning his top dollars right now. I'll tell you right now. They're not. He's going in. He's smiling when he banks up that Brinks truck. Brinks, pick up my check, buddy. And they have to bring out the big sacks of cash for the guys.
Well, I asked Buck Pierce about watching Zach Collaros, and head over to our Instagram page, bonfire.sports. It's not there yet, but I'm going to put it up on Friday before the game. Buck Pierce had a lot of interesting comments about the game in BC, about Zach Collaros, and more. And I asked him, what emotion do you feel when you see Zach Collaros extend plays the way he does, make these, off schedule throws and off schedule plays, falling down to the ground and hitting Schoen on the sideline, being pressured and finding the right vertical seam to hit Greg Ellingson on some of those deep passes. Very interesting comments from Buck Pierce. The one I will share, a little teaser here, is, he says, sometimes, you're a fan and you watch and you're like, wow, look at that guy play football. This is the guy who is effectively his quarterback's coach, his offensive coordinator, his play caller, and even Buck Pierce is wowed sometimes what the reigning MOP is able to do on the field.
Yeah, and think about Buck. Buck was a heck of a football player too, a quarterback in his own right. Tough as nails, career shortened by injuries because he just basically refused to go down. And, he one of those guys or whatever it took to get that first down. And it's funny when you talk about Zach, and I'll go back to Zach real quick here. The fact is I watched him take off with the ball a couple of times last week too and pick up crucial first downs. Man, when your quarterback starts doing that, you just got to love the way the guy's playing. As a team, he lifts everybody up. TSN should show the sidelines and watch the facial expressions when Zach does these, spinoramas and he does a Houdini and he throws the ball. The sideline goes crazy. Yeah. I mean, even as a former player, I go crazy. I watch the team, I'm going, no way. But he makes things happen. And I remember, I think I saw one of the guys in TS said, "Can you believe it?" And I said, "Yeah, I can believe it." The way you guys playing, man, but it's crazy.
Well, how many times do you have to see it before you start saying, "Yeah, I can believe it"? Just some of the plays Zach Collaros is making. Like, are the Blue Bombers beatable if Zach Collaros is on his game? That's what I want to know.
I don't
I don't
know.
think they are.
This again, we talked about Richie Hall, the defense, but I'll say this: Buck Pierce has got that offense just smooth. Last week, yeah, the naysayers are going, well, you know what, Brady Oliveira is only averaging 3.8, and Augustine 4.5, but a combined with Craig McRae, they rushed for 130 something yards. How you can't beat that, baby? That's perfect. So I mean, they should be happy with that. And if they're running the football, I don't care how many times, and they get that kind of yardage and pounding the football, boy, good things are going to happen in that passing game.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. It's Chris Walby. Thanks to everybody who's watching live on YouTube and Facebook. It's Game Day Winnipeg ahead of the Battle of Unbeatens and the battle for first place in the West Division in the early going here in the CFL. And big thanks to everybody who just jumped over. I should have mentioned this a while ago, but tons of people just jumped in who were watching Winnipeg Sports Talk live on YouTube. You're now here on Bonfire Sports and Game Day Winnipeg, as we always do the day before the game at 3:00. This guy right here, the legendary Chris Walby. And I wanted to congratulate you, Chris. You cut me off before. I'm trying to pump your tires a little bit. You were inducted into the Football Manitoba Hall of Fame last night. I can't believe you weren't in there already, but you, Sean Churchill, formerly of CTV Winnipeg, a handful of deserving individuals and teams here in the province. It was a great night, and congratulations to you. It was kind of a makeup for the 2020 class because of the pandemic and the rest. But I can't believe you weren't in there before. What's going on?
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you right now, it was great. I mean, they did a great job. One of my best friends, Walter Kozlowski's, he got inducted in the 1972 Sisler Spartans championship team in high school. Wade Miller got inducted as well.
My bad. I should have mentioned Wade. Yes.
That was pretty cool too. So yeah, I didn't make it. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend, but from what I heard, it was a great event. So congrats to all the inductees, man.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. And like, think about it, Chris, you got a bunch of football people in a room and you served dinner. They gave us a ton of food, like half a chicken everybody got, plus dessert.
Oh, right? That's probably because I wasn't there. If I was there, you guys only got a quarter of chicken.
I was going to say.
You're making me sweat thinking about it, brother. Oh, chicken.
Well, speaking of which, like I just moved, right? So like might be a little echoey in here. I don't have my helmets behind me as I usually do.
The plant looks good though, bud.
Yeah, it's okay. It survived the move, but like I got no AC pumping right now, and it is just muggy as heck here in southern Manitoba.
You probably see me wipe my brow because I'm the same thing. I have my windows open. It was raining and it was kind of cool, and now it stopped. And somebody made a great comment in the comment section there. 33 to 35 tomorrow before humidity. And I tell you what, I've played in those games. It is tough. You're stretching. By the time you come out of stretch and you go back in the locker room before you come out for the game, you're like, oh, man, you can't drink enough water. These guys have got to be hydrated all day today. Maybe they'll have Pedialyte on the sidelines, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably going to see some major cramping tomorrow. It's just like when it gets this kind of weather, boy, you gotta make sure you're totally hydrated with water, or you won't make the game.
Well, and you big guys up front, like you can drop 10 pounds just in water weight.
I dropped 10 pounds. Oh, yeah. And you know what? It's
That's
interesting,
unreal.
but yeah, I would drop that. And then after the game, I put it right back on. I've never tasted a better cold beer than after a game when I'm at.
Oh, I bet.
Ice cold beers, and especially when you win. I mean, it's just a beautiful feeling.
You got a prediction for this game, Chris? The odds makers, and you can see it in the ticker below, sportsinteraction.com, and a 4.5 point favorite to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers over the 4-0 Calgary Stampeders. Do you think this is going to be a close game? Do you think one team is going to be able to take advantage? Okay, well, if it's close, low scoring or high scoring?
That's a good question. Both high-powered offenses. The Bombers, like I say, they've given up 6 passing touchdowns. That's all they've given up all year. Not a rushing touchdown, which is crazy. They've given some big plays, but they lead the league in pass knockdowns. They lead the league in the amount of, points per game. Well, I think they're number 2 behind Saskatchewan, which is crazy. But yeah, I don't know. This is to me a great chess match, and I really believe in that analogy because it's a good defense against a good offense on both sides. I think where I feel like we have the edge is basically on defense. Where do I think they have the edge? I think on punting and field goals. Rene Paredes had a 30 straight field goals broken last week. The streak ended. And they got Cody Grace back, the Aussie, who, basically has got a leg for really, really strong leg. And then Mark Leggio was the kicker of the week. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, okay.
Oh, like in what was it, Pro Stats Canada?
Some kind of thing. He was kicker of the week. But I'm thinking, okay,
rated
that's
highest.
great. But he missed 2 field goals.
Or two converts, 2 field goals.
No, 2 field goals.
2 field goals, right?
2 field goals because he was 13 of 13, and he's 13 of 15 now.
Right.
So I just don't understand that.
Well,
it's like I'll
take that with a grain. Take that with a grain.
One sack, but I can be lineman of the week.
Well,
no, you can't. You don't get it, man. Once you give up a sack, you take your name off the ballot right there. Bingo, Gonzo.
Well, you even say like if a defensive lineman has a sack, I always remember this. Okay, a defensive lineman has a sack. What did you do in the other 45 plays?
That's exactly it. And that's why sometimes stats can be misleading. A guy can have 2 sacks and a couple pressures, but the rest of the other 50 plays in a game, they're running the ball by him, or he's not getting in there.
Right.
Then that's great because we often get fooled by stats. If a guy, but there's the other thing when you have guys get stats at the most opportune times, aka Willie Jefferson, key knockdown, aka Willie Jefferson, on the spot where the tip ball takes it in for interception for a touchdown. Jackson Jeff Code outside, dropping in covers, getting interception. And it's funny, they were making a comment. Well, was it today? Or I read last year he had 9 sacks, does not have a sack. Will it be a breakout game for Jackson Jeff Code tomorrow?
Do you need a sack? Like,
no.
This is what
they have bonuses. See, it's bonuses. See, that's the thing that's different.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think that's why you probably go with a bonus. Like if you're negotiating your bonuses, it's, were you a division all-star or a CFL all-star or a team MOP, that sort of thing. Like most outstanding defensive player on your team, you get a bonus, that sort of thing. Yes. But you're right. Sometimes there are those things. I more see them in the contracts of offensive players. Like, did you play 50% of snaps or more? You get a bonus. 80% of snaps or more, you get a bonus. If you hit 1,000 yards, those sorts of things. But one thing Willie Jefferson said to me a couple years ago here in Winnipeg, Chris, that I always remember is he said, because I think he broke that record for pass knockdowns. He had 16 pass knockdowns one season. Yeah. He says a pass knockdown's as good as a sack, maybe even more valuable than a sack because it deflates a quarterback's confidence. It really knocks him down a rung because he's clean. He sees his target. He throws, knockdown. Like that D lineman didn't even get close to me, and I can't even complete a pass because of it.
Frustrating thing as an O lineman when you got a good guy and you're blocking him. And in Willie Jefferson's case, because we're talking about him, he puts that 6'7" frame and he puts those big elevator arms up there. Basically, it's a tight window to throw a football through. So I mean. Yeah, it's good. Jefferson, and then, obviously we talked about the backside. But then, hey, how about this other thing? Well, you want to start a game on the right note. Janarian and Grant was going to bust one eventually.
Oh, yeah.
What a great way to start a game, eh? First kick all the way back for touchdown.
Oh, bang, bang. Bang, bang. It was great.
Yeah, and then I think he had one called back, too, didn't he, for a holding penalty or something like that, too? I believe he had one called back for holding. Now, think about that. And I thought
$1 million.
Some lady or some guy, whoever it was at that save on, whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, $1 million. And she's telling her husband, honey, I'm divorcing you. I got money. Hold on. Honey, I still love you. I still love you, honey. We're going to stay together.
Sorry, boss. I'll see you Monday morning.
Yeah, that's right. After you just call him a SOB. Yeah, sorry. That wasn't me. That was my son mimicking me.
I mentioned this on GameDay After Dark after that BC Lions game. And Mike Miller, who doesn't practice too often, he'll always be on the injury report as DNP, did not participate or did not practice. but he's conserving his body. He is a future Hall of Famer. He is the all-time leader in special teams tackles. And what did he do on the first 2 plays of that game in BC? Well, he was a huge reason why Winnipeg was up 7-0 early, and then even 14-0 early, because BC went quickly to punt. Miller made the key block on Janarian Grant's kick return touchdown, 97 yards to the house. And then next play, he made the tackle on BC Lions return, on the Lions return. So Mike Miller, to this day, is still one of the most effective players in the CFL. And it's just a treat to watch him as often as we do as a member of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He is a killer. He is Mike Miller. My hat goes off to him every time he steps on the field.
We often jest here, DB, about the fact, that he just drives by, waves at the stadium and says, "See you game day." Right. I'm going to get it. He's almost like Troy Westwood, just going to get Slurpees all the time and not doing anything else. But having said that, you look on the other side of the coin too, conversely, and Mark Killam, they call him Special K, the special teams coach in Calgary, with this Peyton Logan kid. 122 yard. Then he rushed one for a touchdown too. You saw him get around the corner. He's got great speed. So there's opportunity on both sides to break a game wide open in the return games. Right. So this is really, we talk about offense, we talk about defense, DB, but the cover teams, and to your point, great point by bringing at that time, nice little segue, Mike Miller in, because he's going to have to be at the top with the rest of the cover teams to prevent Calgary from getting some of that momentum by having a big return.
Well, and they're going to be focusing on Mike Miller in the special teams game as well, because after he made that special teams tackle on snap number 2 in BC, he didn't have another tackle in that game. So BC knows how good he is. Don't sleep on Calgary. Calgary won't be sleeping on Mike Miller either. But when you go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say, and again, great point by that, about the fact that what teams would do. And I remember being in meetings, and they'd say, this number 31, we'll say, well, let's use Miller, number 24. You know what? We need 2 guys on him. So what they'll do is try and take him out of the coverage, right?
Right.
But the problem is that's where you rest your team. Somebody's going to be free. And that's where you got to get your rest of your coverage team staying in your lanes, bottling everything into the tunnel. Don't let them get to the outside, and make sure you got guys in the middle too, because you don't want to create that one lane. And that's what happened with Janarian. To your point, and actually it was a really good point by you about picking up the key block by Mike Miller to spring Janarian Grant on that touchdown. It's special teams is often overlooked. Yeah, but it's such a major part of the game was field position. It's so important that sometimes we just overlook it. We get caught up in the offense and the defense and all the pretty boys, but we need to talk about those special teamers.
Yeah, and especially in games between the Blue Bombers and the Stampeders. We all know here in Winnipeg full well that they hang their hat on the special teams game, and it's the reason why they are so good. But the reality is that's the Calgary Stampeders mold that Mike O'Shea and Kyle Walters and Wade Miller have been saying since day one. Yeah. They've always talked about the Stampeders mold of every single year you're competitive. It's not about building a team up and then you fall back down. You build a team up and you fall back down. Continuity and consistency, good Canadian talent, solid drafting, and rock solid special teams. Mark Killam, Calgary special teams coordinator. I'm so glad you brought him up, Chris. He is already getting conversation of being the next head coach hire in the CFL. Will it be Montreal? Will it be Ottawa? Because Paul Appolice's seat is warming up. They're still
but
in the nation's capital.
That's a good point. But I tell you what, I hate to see that. Paul Appolice is one of the really good guys. Yeah. Unfortunately, his star quarterback who really threw the ball for, in the first 2 games against us, threw the ball extremely well. He actually picked our secondary apart. And, gets that brutal hit by the Saskatchewan D lineman. We're not even going to mention his name. I'm not going to give him notoriety. And, just the fact that, it's too bad because now he's got to go with, they traded back for Nick Arbuckle. And did you read the headline? Arbuckle rejoins Ottawa, the team that didn't want him. What kind of crap is that? The team originally didn't want him, and now they bring him in there because
Paul Appolice targeted him and was his first quarterback when he became the head coach of the Ottawa Redblacks. Then there was that free agency pseudo trade weirdness between them, the Redblacks, and the Argos. And then suddenly Matt Nichols is no longer with Toronto. He's with Ottawa. Arbuckle is over to Toronto. And then Arbuckle's, on the street soon after that. It was a weird series of events, but he's back there in Ottawa now. I think there's more.
I'm happy for the kid.
Well, Caleb Evans is a young quarterback. Hasn't played a lot. Has some skills, but I just don't know if he is able to run an offense
It's
proficiently.
between the years,
right?
I'm not saying he doesn't have football IQ, but it's so much between the years.
It's knowledge. It's knowledge, right? It's not just like smartness or intelligence. It's knowing what the CFL is about.
I felt bad for Ottawa last year, but then I figured out, their old was it Desjardins, the GM? I think it was
Marcel Desjardins. Yeah.
They're trading for Duck, whatever, the Duck Hunter guy.
Duck Hodges.
Come on, buddy. It's like they're reaching into a pool and going, under the B, we'll take Barry. It's just not good, man.
It was a lot of hype. Anytime a quarterback spends significant time on an NFL roster and then comes to the CFL, they anoint them as, it could be the next great. I always wait and see, because
it bothers me. It bothers me to hell.
Well, no, I hear you. But Ottawa's trying to keep the ship afloat. The East Division is wide open. We could easily see a crossover this season, whether it's BC or Saskatchewan. Could be Calgary, could be Winnipeg. There's a lot of football yet to be played. But Friday night here at IG Field, another marquee matchup, maybe the biggest game of the CFL season so far. Yeah. Calgary always plays so well here in Winnipeg, Chris. And I think, their defense, their special teams, we touched on that, but it's their offense that I think will be the deciding factor. That's my critical key is Winnipeg's defense versus Bo Levi and the Stampeders offense with Kadeem Carey and Malik Henry, Kamar Jordan and Reggie Begelton. Like those four guys are four of the best in the CFL. I'm just going to pull up the Blue Bombers defensive stats from their game in BC the other day. And look at this. Malik Clements stepping in for the injured Kyrie Wilson. 4 tackles led all Blue Bombers. They ran the ball at him. They targeted him in the pass game. And he stepped up. He did a good job. This week, the Blue Bombers will have, a change on offense with Brennan O'Leary-Orange coming out and 6'6", 220-pound wide receiver Carlton Agadosi stepping in on offense. How involved will he be in Buck Pierce's game plan? I'm not quite sure, but Winnipeg's defense is, the task is at hand for them going against Calgary on Friday.
Well, I'll be honest with you. That it's funny because I was going to kind of get into that after, because to me, the game, as much as it'll be won in the trenches, and that's why it comes down to getting good pressure on Bo Levi. But when you got guys like Malik Henry, who, he's got almost 400 yards receiving. He's got 171 yards after the catch, folks. The highest average in the CFL at 21.6 yards a catch, and the longest catch of the year at 89 yards. Listen, and then you got
last 2 weeks he's been nearly a 200-yard receiver, and you're on the same team as Reggie Begelton and Kamar Jordan.
And it's funny you say that because they're asking Reggie. Reggie used to be the go-to guy. Kamar Jordan, remember before he hurt his leg? He was the go-to guy. They've got some talent there. And they got that big Luther, Hakanavanhu.
Well done.
Thank you, brother. He's got some fingers were crossed under the table here. He's a big play guy. 2 touchdowns. He makes big catches at key times. They got stuff. And then obviously I was looking forward to seeing Philpott. I thought he was playing really good, and he got hurt. Now they got Tyson Middlemose playing for him. He's only got 2 catches. But on the season, there's a couple guys here that I'm looking forward to seeing again. Everybody should remember the fiasco with Derek Dennis, right? Mm-hmm. He went to Edmonton, and they wanted to get released from Edmonton. They wouldn't release him. He had to basically sit out the whole year. He was on Twitter all the time talking about let me go, whatever.
Still is.
Like Elvis, let me go, whatever, But I mean, he's back playing that left tackle. And this is a guy who used to be one of them years ago, was the MOP for outstanding offensive lineman. Yep. They got
good player.
He just
couldn't settle in anywhere.
No, and then you got Julian Good Jones on the other side. But listen, Bo Levi had his first ever start in Winnipeg threw for 3 touchdowns as he beat Winnipeg way back his first ever CFL game. He needs 98 yards right now, Bo Levi, to move into 15th place past another superstar in Darrin, who was a quarterback for Calgary, for Saskatchewan Roughriders. And then he's had this is another stat. I love looking at these. This is what a stat that makes me interesting. Both these quarterbacks. And I'm going to go with Zach first. Zach has had 44 straight passes without interception. Mm-hmm. That's a good job. Well, Bo Levi, 73. Is that which one is he going to, which one's going to fall first? It just, to me, they trade off so well. When I look at one guy's stat, I look at the other guy's stat, I look at our receiving crew. I will say this. I think we have a great receiving crew, but if I had to, I would have to give the edge to the Calgary receiving corps just because of what they have and what they've done. When I remember Kamar Jordan being a stud and Reggie Beglington and then Malik Henry, who's coming to his old right now. And that's taken away nothing from, Bailey and Dalton and Greg Ellingson and Drew Wolotarski, who got, a bunch of catches too, which is nice to see him getting involved in the offense. But, and then the run game. You hit it on the head. I think Kadeem Carey is the elite back right now in the CFL. I agree with that. He's averaging 5.8 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns, but he catches the ball as well too.
Yeah, he does.
And so this will be really interesting, and that's why I say, and I'm going to beat it to death one more time. If the Bomber offensive line can give Zach time and open up some holes for the running game, whether it be the slot back reverse was shown or Oliveira or McCray. It seems like McCray is getting more touches all the time now too.
All the time. They're gonna continue to. I'm sure they are. Yeah. Going to continue him more.
They like his speed
every week.
They like his speed, and he's averaging 6 yards or 7.5 yards, but he's only carried the ball 6 times. But
it's only been 2 games. It's only been 2 games.
Yeah, and I know that's why I don't want to blow any smoke up anybody right now because I like to watch a guy on a period of time for what I look for is consistency. It's got to you show me consistency, then I'm going to say to you, hey, that's doing good. You haven't developed Greg Ellingson type of legend yet. So,
well, Carlton Agadosi is in the starting lineup Friday night. Will be an interesting target. For a big guy, Chris, it's always the knock on the big guys is how agile are they? How is their movement? How is their short, route running and that sort of thing. One thing I can tell you about Carlton Agadosi, beyond his size, the obvious, is he has very, very good hands. And this is something too, when you see Zach Collaros miss, not too often, but he does miss, everybody does, he misses high. So if you got some size there, like bigger than a Drew Wolotarski, bigger than a Greg Ellingson, like Ellingson is 6'1", 6'2", Wolotarski, same range. They don't have that big bodied receiver. Well, now they do, and Carlton Agadosi will make his CFL debut on Friday. That's a nice piece to kind of complement this, more diminutive group in Dalton Schoen and Rashid Bailey and those guys. That all said, Chris, to me, the Calgary Stampeders run attack is dangerous, not just because of Kadeem Carey, but because they can spell Carey with Peyton Logan.
Yes.
Carey got a little bit nicked up. I think it was in week 2 or week 3. And in came Peyton Logan, and he was like a bat out of heck, just like a cannon, a cannonball shot, just blazing speed, ran super hard, looked like Johnny Augustine in space, where guys were kind of just grabbing onto him and couldn't take him down. He was just putting style of runner in a lot of ways. Has that breakaway speed. I think Calgary on Friday here in Winnipeg, Chris, they will run the football hard to keep Jefferson and Jeffcoat and Big Hill and Clements and Rutledge all honest. And then play action will come from that. And then we'll see Bo Levi do what he does best. And that's that slice and dice, nickel and dime, small passing game. And then that 1 or 2 deep shot when it's there. Calgary's dangerous. Don't sleep on them.
No. They're listen, they've been one of the elite teams for years. Whether it was John Huffnagel coaching, and then Dave Dickinson coaching. I mean, they were a quarterback factory. They've always been a quarterback factory. They've had great guys in that. They're behind center. Again, Mitchell's been banged up the last couple of years. Wasn't playing up to the level that he was used to. and now he's healthy, and that's a scary thing because he's a very confident. I got that swagger, and I told you I like a swagger in a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's almost interesting to watch the differences between Zach, who's very calm. He's not really, but you can see Zach. If something goes wrong, he does get a little peeved.
Yeah.
So he's got a little, he gets a little angry out there. He wants to make sure everything's going right, whether it's a guy running the wrong route or he misses a throw that he knows he should have had. He gets a little angry. That's like Bo. Bo the same way. But Bo is one of those guys, throws an interception, he gets angry, comes back, and then he'll go right back to the same guy again. So this is a thing when you're looking at that. The matchup is this is why I said it's a better matchup. I mean, we blew up, and we were thinking, last week with the BC Lions, but there was always that little knock. Yeah, Nathan Rourke had some great games, but as you said earlier, 24 years, only his third or third start or whatever. That was the one knock that the intangible that I had to really take care of because he's a young guy. He hasn't seen everything yet, and that's what he did. Richie Hall gave him so many looks. I think he was, befuddled a little bit. He was confused.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I picked the Blue Bombers. I quit patting myself on the back days ago, Chris, but I picked the Blue Bombers to win in BC when a lot of people were unsure.
That's right. Yeah.
The BC Lions had all of training camp, right?
Yeah.
Then they played week 1 against so far the worst team in the league in the Edmonton Elks. Then they had a bye in week 2 to prepare for the Toronto Argonauts, one of the weakest teams in the CFL right now, and they beat the crap out of them. Then they go on the road to Ottawa, who remains winless, and they beat Ottawa by 3 points.
Yeah.
So you got time, prepare, beat up on a bad team. Another bye week, time to prepare, beat up on a bad team. Then they go on the road against a team that probably should have a win or two in the Ottawa Red Blacks, and they only win by 3. Yeah, it was a short week for Winnipeg. Yeah, they're banged up, and we're missing Kyrie Wilson and the rest. That was new that week. 3 time zones, whatever. The Blue Bombers always play well in Vancouver, and to me, that was the difference. And they came out and they showed everybody. This is what concerns me about this Calgary-Winnipeg game on Friday. The Stampeders always play really, really well at IG Field. This is the hardest, toughest, most difficult matchup the Blue Bombers have faced so far. They're 4.5-point favorites. It probably should be flipped. I could see them being favorites in BC last week and maybe even home underdogs to Calgary. I'm just saying, the book is the book. And you can go to sportsinteraction.com and look at all the numbers. But my gut, based on historical precedent, is that I would give a little bit of an edge to Calgary. I know they've had a weaker schedule than the rest, Chris, but they are going to play really tough on Friday.
Oh, I remember this, and I brought this stat up again. Here we go, stat man again. 19-2 after bye weeks, and they're coming off a bye week. So they knew they were playing Winnipeg. So they've been studying game film for 2 weeks now. So, yeah, absolutely. It's not like they got a short week and they have to come back and look at our defensive scheme or what we're doing on offense.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no excuses. This team, Calgary, should be so well prepared for the Bombers, and they're as good as the Bombers on paper. But again, it's who comes to play, who shows up. And I'm telling you right now, when it's going to be 35 degrees, it's going to be hot, muggy. It's going to rain today, and then tomorrow it's going to be, all that rain's going to come up and evaporate. It's tough on the big boys.
It's going to be uncomfortable, right? It's going to be uncomfortable.
Unless they get a little tiny bit of a breeze, which is godsend. If you get a little breeze, you feel, God, thank you, man. But
well, like Chris, you grew up in North Winnipeg, right? You grew up in the North End.
That's right.
But a lot of these guys on the field grew up in Texas, Florida,
Georgia. They're probably used to the weather. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
They're more concerned about those games where it's 15 or 10 degrees or obviously colder than that. But those are the ones that make them uncomfortable.
Fair point. But it's still, it's not depending where your birthplace is or where you grew up, even though I will give you a partial pass on that one. I think the other thing is that it's just where the humidity, when you get muggy and you got all the gear on. And like you said, a lot of these guys play in, Texas, and they play down in Arizona, even though Arizona's a little hot heat.
Right, yeah.
It could be like that. But that's a very good point. And we'll just have to wait and see tomorrow. But I think you're going to see a lot of guys, unless they're really hydrated, you're going to see cramps. It happens every game. Guys go out, They don't come back. They don't drink water on the bench. They get so jacked up to forget. And all of a sudden they go on the field and they get cramps. And you'll see stop what you play. Channels will come out, massage and move the foot around. The only good thing is fat guys like us.
What kind of guys? Fat guys?
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. I remember because we greased up so much. I had so much grease on.
What do you mean? You Vaseline the arms or what?
Oh, God, yeah. Vaseline the arms and I Vaseline my shoulder pads. And then what you do, you spray silicone so they can't grab them. And then you put water all over them. And then the ref would come because one of the defensive linemen would go, hey, 63, he's got grease. They'd come and go like this. And I go, hey, no, it's just a fat man sweating. And the ref would laugh. And I think of all the times that I got checked, there was only one time they made me take my jersey off. But I'll tell you another thing. You know what they did? And I've got scars on my arm to prove it. Some monkey put a crazy guy out there. One of the guys from one of the teams put tacks in his gloves, thumbtacks,
like on his fingertips,
like in his gloves, coming out like spikes. And he goes like this to grab my jersey, and he grabs my arm, and I just get big scrape right across.
So you'd have to tell the ref, like, this guy's wearing gloves. How would that be his nails?
Right? We told him, man.
Wow.
It's a game of mentality, trying to play this stuff. I mean,
well, a lot of that is no longer, right? Like you don't have the pine tar and the Vaseline and the sticky spray and all that different stuff, right? They either, grease it up or they sticky tack it, right?
Well, you do sticky tack too. Because Brad
there's a lot less of that in the CFL today. A lot less than that.
If you take a look at the guy's jersey right now, they put a sticky carpet tape on your shoulder pads. So that
it sticks the jersey to your pads.
Oh my God, they can't. That's another reason you can't grab them. So getting away from the grease and all that, they just wet them, soak your jersey, but your jersey's not going anywhere.
Well, did you notice Andrew Harris? Like, did you ever notice how soaked he is first snap of the game?
Probably, yeah.
You can see it in his pants and his he is soaked. So I wonder if that's is it water or something else to kind of help.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Andrew
tackles shed off a little bit, right?
I think veteran moves. Was it Toronto? Toronto playing what? Who's Toronto playing in Saskatchewan, right? And
this week,
Atlantic Bowl.
Oh yes, that's right.
They're gonna have a good time. That'll be a good time. I went to the Atlantic Bowl. Oh, I was in Brunswick, New Brunswick, and I think one of the first ones. And obviously, I was just a guest, and it was one of the best times of my life because anybody that's ever gone to the East Coast. Just great people, great times, great food.
Yeah.
Especially if you like seafood, lobsters and shrimp and stuff like that. It was just, it's making me hungry right now.
Well, I want to pull up sportsinteraction.com here and look at the week 6 matchups in the CFL. It starts tonight, Thursday, with Edmonton in Montreal and Trevor Harris and the Als, 7.5-point home favorites, which is a big, big number for an Elks team that is going to start Taylor Cornelius at quarterback. I think there's a bit of an edge there if you play it right. Stampeders, 4.5-point dogs to the Blue Bombers. If you give 3 points to the home team, as they normally do, it's about a pick 'em, right? A 1.5-point spread in favor of the Blue Bombers. Then touchdown Atlantic, Riders at Argos on the East Coast. And, well, this is a neutral site game, right? So no home favorite, Saskatchewan at 3 points. This is an interesting one to me, Chris, because the Riders are a much better team, both what we've seen in games and on paper, than the Toronto Argonauts are, and just 3-point favorites in that game. Then the week wraps up. The winless Ticats and the winless Red Blacks in the donut box. 5.5-point favorites are the home Ticats.
I think Ticats are going to break. And unfortunately for Paula Police and the Red Blacks, I think it's going to be, they're not going to win.
Well, Dane Evans was crying on the sidelines last week, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like that was brutal to see. It was just an awful performance. 2 weeks ago. They've had a bye week now, so that's another feather in there.
I thought it was very interesting that he said he did not he thought our play calling was very. He blamed himself first off. Because he's given up eight interceptions. He's fumbled the ball 4 times. Obviously, that crucial one that cost him the game. But he says, I got to be better. But he says, on offense, we're going to show you some new wrinkles. Mm-hmm. That is interesting. So I think Hamilton, I mean, like you said, the East is so wide open right now.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody, if you get on a win streak right now, you got a great chance to move up and actually maybe even clinch that division by the, end of the season. But Hamilton has got to start. I just, if Arbuckle was in there and he says he understands the offense already, but he's only been there a couple of days. They're going to go with Caleb. Is that his name?
Caleb Evans.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you're going with a rookie, but he's been there for a while. So he knows the offense. Very athletic, but no Mazzoli, right? You know what I'm talking about? So
I mean, that's such a tough pill to swallow for Red Blacks Nation, for the Red Blacks themselves.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you're right. Like the East is wide open. Think about it. They have 2 points, right? If you're Toronto or you're Montreal, you have 2 points in the standings. And then you go over to the West. Edmonton is in 5th, and they have 2 points in the standings. I know it's week 6, but we're like pretty much at the quarter mark of the CFL season. You'd have to think we're going to see a crossover this year, but like 3-1, 4-1, 4-0, and 5-0 is the rest of the West Division. The powerhouse continues in the West, Chris. But matchups this week will be, it should start shaking things loose a little bit.
When do the Bombers have a bye?
Oh, not until week 11.
August. I think it's August, isn't it?
August. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're one of the last teams to have a bye.
Right.
That'll be a well-earned. I mean,
but it'll be very well earned, but it's also advantageous to them because in that second half of the season, like they're playing all these Eastern teams right now in the second half of the season, very West heavy schedule. You got Calgary a couple times. You got BC in like a back-to-back with a bye week in the middle, a home and home. It'll be in Vancouver, then a bye week, and then BC is here. You got the Rough Riders 3 times coming up through Labor Day, and then the Banjo Bowl, of course, and then another one late in the season. They're going to need those bye weeks because that's when the physical games will be played. Calgary, Saskatchewan, those are the smacky in the mouth games that I think will take a toll on the Blue Bombers. So tough stretch here to start the season for Winnipeg as far as bye weeks, but they got a lot of guys on the 6 game. So you hope you get those guys back. You get bye weeks for the healthy guys, and they'll be clicking when you need to in October and November.
I'll say this. I'm going to make 2 comments. One, first off, great comment talking about Zach Williams, University of Manitoba boy coming and play home, the starting left guard for the Calgary Stampeders from University of Manitoba Bisons. So I know he's going to have a lot of family and friends at the stadium. So that's a great thing. Where was I going with the second one? I can't remember what I was going to say after that.
Well, I'll mention Transcona Poly, who's watching live on YouTube. Don't snooze on Stamps number 67, Zach Williams. I have to agree. He is a Winnipegger. He is a Manitoba Bisons product. And there he is at left guard next to Derek Dennis and Sean McEwen. Talk about playing around talent. McEwen, league all-star at center. Derek Dennis, most outstanding offensive lineman nominee several times in his career. If you have to pull for anybody on the Stamps, pull for the Winnipegger, Zach Williams. No question about that. Always great. It's kind of like a fraternity with you, Chris Walby.
Yes, man. I'm just very
Winnipeg
happy.
lineman.
Yeah, very happy when you get homegrown talent, getting to come back and play in your home stadium. I remember when I was playing defensive end for Montreal when I got drafted as a defensive tackle. And my first game, I came back to Winnipeg and we got trounced, I think, something like 56-2. Vince Ferragamo. I was playing with Vince Ferragamo, Billy White Shoes Johnson. We had such a talent-laden team, but they were all goofballs. They were all about the money. Joe Scannella, our coach, all he was doing is smoking cigars all the time. And I remember playing in front of my family and friends. I was so excited to be back in Winnipeg, and then it was almost embarrassing. Just getting just basically smashed everywhere. I mean,
really?
Oh, we got killed 56-2. Used to hang around, and you think about it. You got Big Joe, the defensive end, Junior Ayu, and Peter Della Riva. All these Hall of Famers that I was playing with.
Della Riva was a hell of a player.
Well, think about this too. Who was my teammate? You know who it was? Wally Buono.
Is that right? He was a linebacker, right?
Yeah, he was my teammate my first year.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. That's just a little bit of history for everybody out there.
Chris, we're just about ready to wrap things up.
Yep.
Big thanks to everybody who's been in the live chat. I think there was a bit of a glitch today, but thanks for hanging tight with us and watching live. If you missed any of the show, it'll be available immediately on YouTube, or I think you can even rewind during the live broadcast. Of course, on your favorite podcast app, search Bonfire Sports. You can find links to all the majors on bonfiresports.ca. Chris, your keys to the game. What does Winnipeg need to do to come out with a victory and move to 6-0 and pad a little bit in the West Division standings ahead of Calgary and BC and Saskatchewan?
Well, I think on offense for me is basically control the football. They are number one in time of possession. The Bombers are like averaging 32 minutes a game. It's crazy. Control the football, convert on second down. Don't put yourself. And of course, when I say convert on second down, what I'm saying is get good first down production. Don't force yourself into second and long situations. And I think for defense, I mean, basically, you've got to keep doing it. And Richie Hall, keep mixing up your coverage, put some pressure on Bo Levi. Bo Levi's seen everything too. Remember that this is a veteran quarterback. Mm-hmm. Don't show your blitzes too early. He'll read that before pre-snap. And on special teams, cover like you've never covered before, because this is a game where I think special teams is going to be a huge factor.
No question. No question. I'll add my one key, and that is for the Blue Bombers defensive secondary. Demario Houston, Dietrich Nichols, Nick Taylor, Winston Rose, Donald Rutledge Jr., and then, of course, Malcolm Thompson at the back end trying to bring that physical presence. The run game will set things up. Do not sleep. Ensure you are locking these guys down. Malik Henry, Reggie Begelton, Kamar Jordan, they will beat you over the top. Bo Levi is waiting for that opportunity, and we've seen Winnipeg a little bit susceptible to that deep pass. Those guys need to be on their game. Winston Rose got beat again in BC, Chris. He was this close to knocking that ball down. So
that was one of the most beautiful throws, though. That is one thing about Nathan Rourke. Boy, he threw two deep balls. Coverage was good. But, I mean, you couldn't throw the ball any more perfect. I mean, he dropped it right in the basket, and they made great plays. But, I mean, this is, again, another guy that throws the ball extremely well on Bo Levi. So, I agree. That's a great point, too. I think our secondary is going to go against probably one of the best receiving groups they're going to face all year.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a football game. Can't wait for Friday night kickoff here in Winnipeg at IG Field. It'll be a steamy game. We will get steamy on Game Day After Dark. Just a little bit after the final gun. Bombers, Stampeders, battle of unbeatens, first place on the line. It's going to be so much fun.
I say that too. Listen, DB, it's again a great game. Thank our sponsors out there who all did a great job for us too. It's always nice to know those guys. We're still looking for a cold beverage company to sponsor us. I'm sure I think someone's going to come on board. And then, like I said, just enjoy the game, because this is one of the games you want to go and you want to be in the stadium to watch, because this is a great game, great matchup, two great teams, Western Division opponent, both undefeated. I mean, it's got all the ingredients of a beautiful cocktail, which is what I'm going to have in about 10 minutes.
Okay, Chris, sign off as you always do, giving your best to the Blue.
Go Blue, baby. Go have fun. See you at the stadium. DB, always a pleasure. And as they say, adios, amigos. I'm out here, baby. Bye.